Hello, and thank you for joining me for the Daily Bread Bible Study. We are looking at day 118 for Monday, April 27th, 2020, focusing on 1 Chronicles 1 through 2. So let me give you the briefest of brief overviews of 1 Chronicles and the briefest of brief views of the first two chapters. So here in 1 Chronicles, we have a complementary narrative to 1st and 2nd Samuel and 1st and 2nd Kings. We see that 1st Chronicles is kind of associated with 1st and 2nd Samuel, focusing on King David and some backstory along with him. And 2nd Chronicles is focused on King Solomon and the kings before the exile, as kind of stated again in 1st and 2nd Kings. So the Chronicles summarize things that have already been discussed in the Old Testament. They give a different perspective, and as we see here in the first few chapters of Chronicles, an important perspective is going over names, namely ancestry, the heritage of famous people here in the Bible, the heritage of these tribes of Israel and Judah, so that way you can get an understanding of all of that. Now, for their day and time, these individuals that they mention would have stories told about them, and they would have more details around who these characters were that they are describing. For us, it just feels like they are a list of names. And so to try and make sense of the Arpachshads and the Ashkenazes of the days and times, which are two of the names mentioned here, we can focus on some of the more notable names that come up. So first of all, we have Adam and Eve. Adam, the name that means humanity, that means man. And so we have Adam there. That's the Garden of Eden story. And so we get to go through there. Then we have another notable name of Noah. And Noah is the one who built the ark. And in that ark, that boat was able to carry the animals and his family to safety, including his sons Shem, Ham, and Japheth. Now, Shem, Ham, and Japheth, remember we have the curse of Ham there in Genesis, mainly because in 1 Chronicles 1:8, we see that the descendants of Ham are Cush, Egypt, Put, and Canaan. So these tribes are ones that will fight with the people of God, the chosen people. And so the descendants of Ham are kind of looked down upon. Cush becomes the father of Nimrod, aka Assyria. Egypt is the father of Egypt, in which the Israelites are enslaved there. Canaan are all about the people who oppose the Israelites inheriting the promised land, including the Jebusites, Amorites, and Girgashites, and also including the Hivites or Hivites. We also see, Put, I didn't go too much into because it's less than, say, like Canaan is involved. Shem, the other son of Noah that's important, is the father of the Arameans, which, Aram is one of the peoples who fights with the Israelites and helps, eventually the Assyrians and Babylonians overtake Israel and Judah. But we will see that the Arameans are also very important for, those is the 12 tribes of Israel, in that one of the ancestors or descendants, I should say, that come from there is Abraham. As it says in Deuteronomy 26:5, a wandering Aramean was my ancestor. Another notable name coming up a little bit later is Esau, connected with Jacob. Those are very familiar to us. Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. Those three important family members there. the patriarchs, as they are called often. Son of Isaac being Esau, and Esau is very important because he founds the Edomites, and the Edomites strive with God. Another important group that's not mentioned here but kind of referenced around is the descendants of Lot, who would be, they're from a descendant of, basically the nephew of Abraham. And so he is the ancestor of the Moabites and the Ammonites, who also become agent of King Nebuchadnezzar of Babylon to exile Judah. They're in 2 Kings 24:2. So there's a lot of interweaving of all of these names together. A woman named Timnah is mentioned in verse 39. I think this is likely because she becomes the mother of the Amalekites. And the Amalekites fight with King Saul pretty heavily, and he's told to destroy Amalek, and it leads to a big mess, but I'm sure we are going to talk about it because that was discussed in Kings. Or Samuel, I should say. Thus, the end of chapter 1 ends with the clans of Esau, of Edom. So we can expect that in chapter 2, yes, it does continue with clans of his brother, Jacob, which is the clans of Israel, the 12 tribes and 12 sons of Jacob specifically. Now, just remember that the 12 tribes of Israel, the ancestral tribes, are different than the 12 sons of Jacob. For example, the tribe of Levi becomes the priests, and they do not get inheritance in the ancestral inheritance when the land is divided to the different tribes. They get some land, but that's more as their inheritance are the offerings there of the people bringing in the temple. So anyways, but yes, the 12 sons are mentioned. The story of Tamar is referenced as well here. That the rape of Tamar, that story, being also leading to her being an ancestor of David through the line of Jesse. And so David becomes the mighty king, which we will focus on a lot more, coming up, and we'll even get to see a little bit more of his, kind of emphasis coming up in a couple chapters. And then another person of note to reference there would be Caleb. Caleb, of course, is the individual who led after Moses, led the Israelites after Moses going into the promised land and to the conquest of Canaan. So we have a lot of names. Instead of reading all of them, go study them, go look over them, see who else comes up, and get ready for that for the next couple of days, because we are having lists of names again. So thank you for joining me for 1st and 2nd Chronicles. I hope it's tolerable for you, and I hope you find meaning from it today.